Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by Advanced Auto Parts. Now, in the last few weeks, we've talked about air, fuel, and fire. Now, you can see on our Jeep with the 4-liter straight 6, we've absolutely upgraded our air intake to an air raid cold air intake system. We're flowing more air. We've also replaced the ignition coil packs. This Jeep has over 100,000 miles on it, and they needed freshened up, so we're throwing plenty of fire now in that power equation. Anytime you're out working under the hood of your vehicle, be sure you disconnect the negative battery terminal. It's just a good practice for safety. In this case, since we're working with fuel vapors and the fuel system over here, I'm just going to lay a rag on top of the positive battery terminal to make sure nothing can fall and arc or spark. Now, step one is I'll remove the wind tunnel from our new air raid system so we can gain access. Before you get into the fuel rail at all, you want to pull the fuel pump fuse and then start the vehicle and drain that fuel system, pump it all dry so you effectively discharge the system. When you come over to the fuel rail, you can just confirm that you've depressurized by accessing the Schrader valve, capture any residual that may be there with the rag. There shouldn't be much at that point. We'll remove the fuel rail and then we'll replace our injectors one at a time. That's definitely going to create more power. But when you're doing this project, you should understand exactly what it's all about. To help us understand that is John.
Brian, the injectors are an important part of the system, and I have some spray patterns over here I'd like to show you. Now these spray patterns, these are going down into the cylinder. You're looking right here at a perfect spray pattern. That's important because we have to atomize the fuel down there in order for it to burn. These other ones, not so much. Offset, dripping, not going to atomize, not going to give you that volumetric efficiencies we've been talking about in the prior shows. This one right here, good spray pattern. This one's split, not going to do the job, clogged. Now what is an injector? An injector is nothing more than a wire windings through here, a solenoid that magnetically picks up and closes down. When it's up, fuel's delivered. When it's off, it's down, fuel gets stopped. So we can take those windings and we can actually measure them. You can do this yourself. You come over, put your meter on ohms of resistance, and simply just come across the two terminals. When you come across the two terminals, you're actually measuring that windings that are in there, and this one's showing about 12.4 ohms of resistance. That's about normal, but check the specs for the car you're working on. This one's in good shape. If it wasn't, it may be clogged. So you have to look at your fuel system itself. Now the fuel system itself starts down here with our Airtex fuel pump, drives all the way up through our injectors, and then returns back down to the pump. Now, if you suspected a clog injector, you can run a flow test. I have an actual tester here that's going to run it, simulate the computer, and run the injectors. So what I want to do is I want to come over and watch fuel pressure. We're up with good fuel pressure. We're right in specs there. Then shut the car off, wait a few minutes. It shouldn't bleed down. If it's bleeding down, we got an issue. Now also, I can take this, and we took one of these injectors off an old Oldsmobile. This one was clogged and giving us a problem, so I can go ahead and hit that. And now you watch the fuel gauge. When I go ahead and energize it like the computer, we're going to watch the drop. Well, that didn't hardly drop at all. That injector's clogged. Well, how do we know? Well, let's go over to another one that's not clogged. I'll go ahead, bring the fuel pressure back up to specifications, close it off, and hit it again. Now that's a big difference, a big difference. So what that tells me is this one's flowing. I'll go around and I'll go through all the injectors. They should all flow real similar to each other. You saw the one that's not flowing, it's clogged. You're gonna have a misfire problem with that cylinder. And that's the issue with our Jeep. It's just got a lot of miles, it's time to freshen them up. We want them all flowing like those good ones, and we'll do that as soon as we return with more Tech Garage.
The average range for fuel pressure in port fuel injection is A, 9 to 13 psi, B, 1 to 3 psi, C, 35 to 45 psi, or D, 1500 to 3000 psi. The correct answer is C. Normal operating pressure for a port fuel injection system is 35 to 45 psi.